by an unruly crowd that comes not to listen, but to protest. When the room is filled to capacity and hundreds are turned away, communist agitators seize upon this as a propaganda device to disrupt the meeting. From left to right, we see Ralph Izzard, Archie Brown, Sally Itarian Sweet, and Saul Wachter.
Open the doors! Open the doors!
What are you hiding? What are you hiding? We have something to hide. What are you hiding? Let the people live out here. What are you afraid of? Then get out, you un-American. That's what you should do. Pack up and get out. You are.
Open the doors. Here comes the goose squad. This is Americanism. Watch this Americanism in action. Wow, watch this Americanism in action. Watch this Americanism. No.
Douglas Wachter, son of Saul Wachter, is a communist-trained student organizer at the Berkeley campus of the University of California. He also was an official delegate to the Communist Party's recent annual convention. Pleading the Fifth Amendment when asked about his party membership, he presents himself not as an agent of a foreign power, but as a patriot whose only concern is to defend the Constitution.
I cannot cooperate with the committee in answering any such questions. I feel I have an obligation as a citizen of this country to preserve the Constitution, and I do not feel I can do so in good conscience by allowing the House Un-American Activities Committee to inquire into my beliefs or associations.
On the second day of the hearings, California State Assemblyman Philip Burton addresses a rally of protesters and calls for the abolition of the committee. His sister-in-law, Michelle Burton, was an official delegate to the 1962 Communist World Youth Festival in Helsinki. Burton himself has established a long record of support for officially cited Communist Front organizations. Philip Burton later would become a member of the United States Congress. William Mandel is a well-known news commentator over radio station KPFA. In due course, he is called to testify about evidence of his role in the Communist Party as an instructor in tactics.
If you think that I am going to cooperate with this collection of Judases, of men who sit there in violation of the United States Constitution, if you think I will cooperate with you in any way, you are insane. This question has no purpose other to harass me. When I was asked this question last in 1943 by the late Joe McCarthy, and let me say that I am honored when people come up to me on the streets, perhaps I don't deserve this honor, and say, you're the man who killed Joe McCarthy. Because I happened to appear on the first day of the book-burning hearing, and I did my best to conduct myself in the manner which I'm conducting myself today. If there were any such evidence against me under any law, the proper authorities could move against me. This body is improperly constituted. It is a kangaroo court. It does not have my respect. It has my utmost contempt. And I am not going to answer that question, sir.
By noon of the second day, the unruly crowd has grown to such proportions that it now blocks access to other rooms in the City Hall, and the jeering and chanting interfere with proceedings in courtrooms on the third floor. It is inevitable that the judges are compelled to register official complaints with the police, who now have no choice but to ask the demonstrators to leave. Taking orders from their leaders, the crowd refuses to budge, even in the face of fire hoses. The result is a media event of great proportions, as the protesters are unceremoniously removed, one by one. The final phase of the strategy, as you recall, was to force the police into using crowd control measures, which then could be offered as evidence of alleged police-state brutality against innocent and peaceful demonstrators. And so it was. The People's World, the official communist newspaper in San Francisco, prepared a special supplement which was widely distributed on college campuses and to waterfront workers. Thousands of leaflets also were distributed entitled From Blackmail to Blackjack. The leaflets said that students were peacefully demonstrating and defending the most cherished American freedoms when fire hoses, clubs, and blackjacks were used against them, without warning and without provocation, to browbeat and smash the public opposition to the House Committee on Un-American Activities. The same theme, in one variation or another, also was carried in much of the nation's non-communist press. Well, that was 1960. By the 1970s, the campaign against internal security had greatly expanded in terms of the number of people and organizations involved, in terms of professionalism and sophistication, and also in terms of objectives, because by this time, the target of attack had broadened to include not only the investigative committees of Congress, but all intelligence gathering operations, including the FBI, the CIA, and even the intelligence units of local police departments. We shall turn to that part of the story in our next program, The Open Gates of Troy.
What they were doing there was making bombs. They were making anti-personnel bombs. They were taking 4 or 5 sticks of dynamite, hundreds of heavy nails, and taping the nails on the outside of the dynamite so that when it exploded, it would send those nails out in every direction, and of course, any one like a bullet. So they would have killed hundreds of people had they been successful.
But because of my activities and other people's activities, the weathermen had to spend a lot of time trying to determine who the informants were, who the police agents were, and this distracted them from their goals.
The two disinformation departments, again under the supervision of the Soviets, decided to start a long-term operation against the CIA.
I believe in the naming of the names of CIA people working abroad.
I think anybody who thinks that the Communist Party of the United States is a serious threat to the security of the United States in any way has not studied the political situation in the United States.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow. Vice President Ford will be sworn in as president